Hello, this is Bradley Gill, news editor for the Camden News. Welcome to our second podcast, which will feature newly elected Alderman Willie McCoy and Cecil McDonald. We will discuss their plans now that they are on the city council, as well as what they think the city should do in response to the rising rates of COVID-19. Welcome, Alderman. I want to say congratulations. As first off, let's start with Mr. McCoy. Is there anyone you want to congratulate as far as your campaign?
Well, I actually want to thank everybody that actually came out and voted, regardless whether they voted for me or the other individual that ran for the same ward. I want to thank Mr. Distro. He's no longer here. He stayed in the neighborhood over the area that I did, and he always was the individual that saw a need to make sure everybody was considered a neighbor. And he was an alderman for some years here in the city, and he just made sure that everybody that had a voice, that didn't have a voice, he was their voice, and for everybody that wasn't able to do things, he assisted in doing things. And so that was the individual that I kind of based my running for this position on.
Mr. McDonald?
I want to thank Mrs. Irene Gabbard for serving in the capacity of alderman for so many years, and for the great job that she did. And I hope that I'm able to be as successful as an alderman as she was. There are so many people that I could call to say thank you to. As I told the newspaper the other day, I'm just plum picking tickled and excited for being elected. It's just a dream I've had that finally came to be a reality. As one individual in particular, or two, I'm going to call a couple of names, and I'm not going to go down the whole list, but Mr. Ben Wooten and Mr. Paul Kelly, they were really in my corner as I was running, and I really do appreciate them. Because there were several others, my church members, and you always get in trouble when you start calling names, but particularly those two and everybody that voted for me. I am just overwhelmingly just joyed that they found favor in me to give me an opportunity to represent them. And that's what I intend to do. I intend to bring that energy to the council to try to do some positive things.
All right. Speaking, I guess, of the council, now that both of you are on it, what are your plans really for the future going forward with it?
He coming back this way. So yes, sir.
Well, I've been going and listening to what they are doing, and I kind of want to initially be a part of what they're doing. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I like what they're doing. I want to be an asset to them. I was talking to, as I listened to what they're doing, there are a lot of good things going on in Camden, and I just want to make sure that I'm a part of a positive force trying to help that get done. I see they're, for example, like they're working on the streets now. That was one of the things that I mentioned in my campaign, that I would like to see our streets better maintained. They've gotten in the condition of disrepair, and this didn't happen overnight. Funding is always an issue. I think they did some streets, and they said in the meeting, they didn't do my street, so I'm still mad. But we're going to try to make sure that somehow or another, especially in our wards, we're going to make sure, I know I echo Brother McCoy, that we get some of our streets done. There's several ways to do this. That asphalt is so extremely high, but if you get one of those machines, and they've talked about this, where I don't know what the name of it is, where it just shaves the rough parts off and makes it smooth. It's kind of like a Band-Aid until you can get some funding to actually do an overlay. But then you got to have an operator to operate the machine. They spoke about some of these things, and they have some things in the work, again, what they're doing that I want to be a part of. I would definitely like to see the city, George Grass is going towards green. EV vehicles that's not those high demand vehicles. Obviously, PD that needs a gasoline engine, that's not going to fit them. But some of the other offices, the employees that has where it would be applicable to them, I'd like to see them do some things like that. Because as I was reading through the proposed budget, when you look at the fuel that we use and some other things like that, it may be able to positively affect that bottom line some. Those are some of the things. Because broadband the state is pushing that. I hope we can piggyback on that and get broadband at an affordable rate. I think it's primarily rural, but I hope we can fit in that little niche also. So, Brother McCoy, I ain't gonna take the floor.
No, sir, I am not gonna stop you. You got a flow going.
The question was just what are your plans now that you're on the council?
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there are a lot of things that need to be fixed for as roads and in neighborhoods. One of the very important things to me is the city to maintain. There are a lot of houses that are in the community that have been left abandoned, and they sit there, and the grass grows up, and this neighborhoods look like it's a ghost town. But if you keep going, there's eventually 2 or 3 houses in the neighborhood, and I would like to see the city, try to, if they have to put liens on property to maintain it, to make it look, beautiful or whatever it may be. Because the thing of it is what will attract people is the city as a whole. If I can just get a picture of this neighborhood or a picture of that neighborhood, it's kind of like when you go to certain countries for a vacation. They don't give you pictures of the whole neighborhood. They give you pictures of what you want to see. And that's kind of what most people do, but the pictures, we should be able to take a picture anywhere in the city that will attract someone.
And you were actually sworn in Tuesday night and got to participate in at least a little bit of the city council meeting. What was your overall impression of that meeting?
That was really very informative. The thing of that was, I would like to say that me as well being on the City of Camden Fairview School Board, it was kind of similar, but the topics and the subjects were different because, we're talking about a city versus a school, and it's a lot of information that people are not aware of. And sometimes if you don't come to these meetings, you're under the impression that the city's not doing anything. But if you only come to the meeting, you'll find out they actually are.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of meetings where people during audience participation have asked why the city wasn't doing this or who was in charge of this, and it's been covered in previous meetings.
Right.
It's very important as far as civic engagement to at least be knowledgeable of what's happening in these meetings.
Right.
All right. Today I've seen the Arkansas Department of Health records. We have 61 cases now of COVID-19 in the county. The last 3 days in Arkansas have been some of the highest numbers. What would you like to see the city do as far as a COVID-19 response?
Well, I think that not only the city of Camden as well as the nation was informed that there would be a second wave. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody's telling me and giving me a heads up about something that's soon to come, I should prepare myself instead of waiting till it come and then trying to prepare myself, because I've made a big mistake. For the simple fact is those numbers are going to grow. People choose to not, you can't make people do anything. They choose to do whatever they want to do. Whether it's mandated or not. My thing is, I want to live as long as I possibly can. So I'm not going to detour just because my neighbor don't want to wear a mask. That has nothing to do with me. And so we just got to figure out what we need to do for as a whole. And I know that the governor at one time had mandated that masks be worn. And some people refused to do that then, even though they said that the police would warn you or what have you because you wasn't people just choose to do what they want to do, but once again, we're all adults, and so we can't force anybody to do anything. But when someone happens, just matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a relative's funeral, and that's what he passed from, COVID. And so the thing of it is, it's real, and some people, for some reason, think it's not. And so we got to be very careful in what we think is not important.
Do you have anything to add to that? Or-
Well, yes, I echo what he says. Also, I would like to see us follow what the experts say. They're the ones that have the facts about this particular disease that this is ravaging the world now. In terms of, he said, mask. Initially, I'll have to admit I wasn't wearing it till my sister got a two before and hit me upside the head with it. So, so now I wear mine, and it's very uncomfortable. And I think I echo what everybody says. But if that's what it's going to take for us to get this thing in check, then I think everybody needs to buy into this idea. It's not forever, but I think if everybody, include our leaders, if our leaders would set the example and say we're doing it and we're doing it willingly, some of the others would kind of like, well, you know, he's doing it, so I don't like it, but I'm gonna do it because he's doing it. Some people like to follow along, see what others are doing, they copycat and follow it. What will really help if the vaccine ever gets here, if I heard the news this morning correctly, that should have a significant positive impact. But we talking December, they schedule starting it with a certain group, health workers and elderly, and by the time it trickles down to your average person, you theoretically may be looking at, what, April to summer?
Yeah. But let's be realistic, we're South Arkansas, we're not going to get it first.
No, we're not on top of the pecking list. So it's going to be a while. So during that interim, I think if we, and also in Camden, you asked about Camden, if we identify our hotspots, where they are and deal with them, we don't have to just have a blanket mandate for all of Camden. Where are our hotspots? And when you find that the majority of cases are coming from a particular location or building or whatever it may be, that's what we need to focus on and try to get those people, and I'm going to use the word educated about this virus, and let them understand that even though you don't want to wear a mask, you know, you may be actually affecting someone else. If you don't care about yourself, think about that other person. So I think if we put some of those mechanics in place, we won't have to just impose so many restrictions on people that's uncomfortable. But then again, we're in this, and all we're going to get out of it is working together.
And I will say, as far as the city, they worked very quickly at the beginning to institute some of those things. City council meetings, everyone is still masked. There's social distancing.
Right,
City Hall is set up to where you can call if you need to do most things. You don't have to show up. So I think the city and county really emphasized the severity of this from the beginning, which helped with a lot of people. Not everyone, because like you said, there's some people you just can't make do.
That's right.
But I think they did really well at the beginning, and even now to still make COVID a priority and not an afterthought. And it's almost one of those things where when you're in a hot tub and you acclimate to it, it seems like people have acclimated, even though the numbers now are higher than ever. We still have more hospitalizations. It's just, it's become normalized.
Right. I agree with you. We're in this, and it's going to take some time to get out of it. It's not going to be a quick fix. And I think if everybody build the mindset that we're going to work together towards one common goal, which is minimizing this virus, I think we can get it done. But we can't do it with everybody pulling in a different direction and refusing to go along with what the experts say.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that everyone needs to just kind of agree on what the facts of the situation are, which is sadly becoming harder and harder in the climate of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't like wearing the mask. I'll be the first to admit that. But it's something that's a necessary part of my attire now that I have to have. Matter of fact, I even bought a lanyard to go with it, so it'd be around my neck at all times. Because I get to the store, it's in the vehicle, I get halfway, oh God, I left my mask. But I'm programming myself. This is something, a necessary part of my attire that I have to have now.
yeah, it's becoming a common thing.
Matter of fact, I got some in different colors, so my outfits are coordinated.
I have 2 or 3. I think I'm thinking about buying some more because it seems like they're with us to stay.
Oh, it's gonna be a while, yeah.
Well, like I said, this particular podcast is going to be shorter than the other one, but I will refer to you gentlemen if you have any sort of final thoughts or parting wisdom for us.
Wisdom, Reverend.
I mean, I guess we just, like Mr. McDonald said, we actually have to listen to the experts and not take things for granted. And just comply with what they're trying to get us to do. I mean, it's not summer anymore, so the heat is not going to help us during the winter. And so therefore, we have to be even more mindful that this COVID is not going nowhere until we help it go away. And for the city of Camden, man, this is a great city to live in.
Yes.
People don't know that because they've never lived here. I would advise them to don't take anybody's word to experience it for themselves before they make a judgment.
I've been here, as I said in my first article, lifelong resident here. Grew up in a tiny town called Chilliston. And let me tell you, when we come to Camden on weekends on Saturday, that just made my day to come to Camden. And, my father was a pastor, and we moved here. And this has been my home ever since. Bought a house here. So when you have something invested into the community, that's Brother McCoy and I have here, you live here, you're concerned about your community. As he said, we can't make people do anything, but we can highly encourage them on certain issues that we don't work together. This thing will never go away. And when you have loved ones that are affected by it, in the hospital on those respirators, wind up at the funeral home, that's not a pleasant experience. Because right now, when you have loved ones that's in the hospital / nursing home, can't go in. And you can't be by their bedside to attend to them during their needy moments when they need family there. All that said, we work together, do what we need to do that's according to the experts, I think we'll be fine.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for coming here today, and it's been a pleasure once again speaking with you.
I want to commend you guys for doing this podcast, helping us get the message out. And this is the first podcast I've been in as a participant, I guess you might say, but get a little bit more comfortable. I'm not ready to go home. Keep talking.